Hello and welcome to Dream Deals. On tonight's show, we'll be showing you how to get hold of two of Japan's most popular performance cars. Plus, we'll be seeing how two of the all-time rally greats, the Audi Quattro and Mitsubishi Evo, match up. But first, Brendan Coogan sees if Audi's TT goes as well as it looks.
Now here on Dream Deals, we like to feature the cars that you and me dream about owning. When I was younger, I used to dream about owning my very own sports car. You know the usual suspects: Ferrari, Porsche, Audi, Lamborghini. Hang on a minute, when did I start dreaming about owning an Audi? Well, actually, from the first moment they unveiled the TT as a concept at the 1995 Frankfurt Motor Show. With radical and stunning looks, few actually thought that Audi would put the car into production. But build it they did, and for that Audi deserve a lot of credit. Now, before this car's launch, Audi's image was, well, for want of a better word, boring. Their range of cars, though solid and reliable, were about as exciting as a Friday night out to see the Horton Weavers with your dad in Bolton. But all of that changed with the Audi TT. From the outside, there's no indication that this car is based on a shortened version of the A3 platform, and it's a whole load of contradictions. It's chunky, yet sleek, it's retro, yet futuristic, and it's got all the style of someone wearing an Italian suit. Claudia Schiffer? Nice image. Now, beauty is only skin deep, and looks will only get you so far, or at least so they tell me. So perhaps it's time to find out if the Audi goes anywhere near as well as it looks. Now, the first thing that you'll notice when you get inside the TT is all of the modern layout and switchgear, which is just like the outside of the car. It really is modern, minimalist, design classic. I absolutely love this car. When it first came out, I wasn't sure. But now, when you get in and drive it and you see what it's like, it really is seductive. But a car like this is all about handling and ride, and that's where the TT comes into its own. Performance isn't knock your socks off. You know, it's 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, but it doesn't feel that quick, I have to say. And there is quite a bit of turbo lag. But provided you keep the revs nice and high, then you shouldn't have any problems. Powering the TT is a 225 horsepower, 1.8 litre turbocharged engine. 0 to 60 comes up in a shade over 6 seconds, and if you're lucky enough to be on the Autobahn, the TT will go on to a top speed of 145 miles per hour. Now, in a car like this, you're going to want to enjoy the open road in the countryside, just like we are today. But if your experience of the countryside is a Sunday drive and no more, then you're going to want to know what this car is like around town. Well, with its very light clutch and nifty gear shift, it means that it should eat up those town miles as well, no problem. But it is on the open road that the Audi TT does come into its own. If you live in the city and you've got an Audi TT, or you're getting one, get out into the country, because it really is superb on these windy roads. Now, this car is an absolute cracker. I do love it. But there are a few things that are annoying me. Firstly, these very small windows. I don't think these doors need to be quite so high. And you get the feeling that you can't see very far into the distance. I would rather that I was lower. And I know I'm tall, but that doesn't matter. I want to be able to see the road in front, not the road in front of my bonnet. The second thing is over-the-shoulder visibility. Those rear pillars are huge. They're as wide as one of Linford Christie's thighs. And it means that if you're turning around, you really can't see. There's a huge blind spot there, and that is doing my head in, basically. And finally, one thing that is annoying me is that if you've got someone sitting in the back seat, which to all intents and purposes is a parcel shelf, I don't know why they bother, but there you go, you can get the small half of the crankies in the back. But one thing that does annoy me, if you've got anyone taller than 3 foot high, then they're going to get a broken neck when you put the boot lid down. Silly. Now, because of the TT's huge popularity, it means that there is a waiting list for new models. And if that means that you thought you could get your hands on a second-hand model a little bit easier, then think again, because they too are sought after. And it means that residual prices are high. Competition for the TT includes BMW Z3, Mercedes SLK and perhaps most importantly the Porsche Boxster. At a shade under £27,000, the TT undercuts the Boxster by nearly £4 grand. Overall, this Audi TT is a hugely impressive car. For your money, you get loads of performance, you get tons of styling, and you get handling. It drives like it's on rails. It really is fantastic. But I've got two slight reservations. Firstly, the price. £27,000 is a lot for this, considering for another £4 grand, you could get yourself an entry-level Porsche Boxster. And the second thing is, well, I'm afraid it's the badge, it's the label. I'm a label snob. Did Audi ever make a sports car that you dreamed of? Well, I think they have now.
I've had enough of this. Stop. You can just have too much luxury. You can be too pampered. You can enjoy too many comfortable, cosseted rides over comfortable country roads in your comfortable, cosseting luxury executive car. When sometimes all you really want is to actually feel the road beneath your wheels, to get raucous in a car. So for today, you can keep your luxury. Paint it matte black and it's a stealth bomber. Some would say it's the granddaddy of them all. A few stickers and a roll cage and you can go rallying. But it's 20 years old, so what's it going to be like today? Well, you're not going to be fooling anybody inside or out that this is a modern car. Oh yeah, dated, straight lines. It's the 80s. Audi know how to make four-wheel drive. They still make some of the most sophisticated four-wheel drive systems in the world, and you can tell that this was the precursor to that. Sure, there's the odd creak and the odd grinding noise, mostly from the interior shifting about, but it feels as tight as a drum, and that four-wheel drive system and that lovely torquey engine still bellows and screams. This still feels like a fast, clunky, chunky, raucous car. It's exactly what I needed. I'm feeling bad already. See why this was just the biz. One of these. I think so. So if this was the ultimate piece of four-wheel driven hooliganery in the 80s, now you're talking. Just call me Mitsubishi, innit? Go and take your £130,000 now. Go on, go and buy your Ferrari, and then I'll overtake you. This thing has got to be amongst the most preposterous things on the road. you those figures. Just remember, 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds. 280 brake horsepower available. A top speed of 100 and oh, God knows what. This is one thing that it does incredibly well. Hold on. Accelerate. Second, third, it just keeps going. It's dragging now, right?
The important thing to think about here is how much you're going to have to pay for this kind of performance. Back when it was new, the Audi cost £33,000. A lot of money, but it's still a hot performer even today. But if you want Ferrari-beating performance, then the Mitsubishi Evo 6 at £28,000 gives a lot of dash for your cash. These cars are not designed to be romantic. They're machines for going as fast as possible. So I'm not about to go all misty-eyed about how the old stager is somehow better than the newcomer. Because it ain't. Not by a long way. The Mitsubishi Evo 6 is undeniably fantastic. But you've still got to respect the Audi Quattro for its part in over 2 decades of four-wheel drive, bad attitude cars.
Well, that's it for part 1, but join us after the break when we'll be giving you the lowdown on how to buy your very own rally-inspired supercar.
Not all dream deals are Italian exotica or American muscle. The land of the rising sun also produces some blisteringly quick cars, and most are available for a fraction of the price of other high-performance vehicles. 2 companies have enjoyed rally success on the back of 2 of their harmless-looking family saloons. But those same cars have developed a cult following thanks to a mixture of blistering performance and in-your-face looks. This week, Dream Deals looks at the Mitsubishi Evo and the Subaru Impreza.
Well, the cars that we've got here, the vehicle I've got and leaning against here is the Evo 7. That was first imported in March of this year. We've got an Evolution 6, which were produced in 1999, a 5 and a 4. The Evo 7 was actually produced on a different chassis. The 6, 5 and 4 are all the same floor plan.
So if you're already tempted by one of these rally-based supercars, how much should you be paying?
An Evolution 4, I say for a good example, you pay about 15,000. For about an Evo 5, between 18 and 19, depending on the specifications and any upgrades it's had. An Evo 6 up to 24,000, and in a brand new Evo 7 start at 27,500.
So, when were all the models introduced to the UK?
It's difficult to say because there are grey imports. For example, this Evo 7 is not officially into the UK until 2002. But it's safe to say that the Evo 4 was produced in '95, and then subsequently the 5, 6, and then shortly to be official the 7 in March 2002.
Although this car produces high performance as standard, many owners have modified their cars to increase this performance. With these modified cars, are there any extra mechanical problems to look out for?
I think like anything, with all used cars, you need to pay special attention or particular attention to if it's been in any accidents, which generally people know. They're all 2-litre turbocharged engines. There are certain modifications that can be done that don't affect the reliability of the vehicles, which is generally either induction kits and exhaust. I think if there's been any internal changes, then clearly if it's a used vehicle, it needs to be an approved technician that's done the work, and you need evidence of that.
Are there any differences we should be aware of if we decide to buy an import?
There's absolutely no difference between a grey imported vehicle and the official UK vehicle. What tends to happen is they come with a 3-year warranty as an official car, whereas we only provide a 2-year warranty. But there's a significant price difference. But clearly it's the same factory that produced these vehicles.
What kind of things should we be looking out for when buying an Evo?
I think it's important that you look at things like the tyres on the vehicle. If they've not had standard size tyres, then that can affect the diffs. Obviously, tyre wear, you need to check that the tracking's right, because tyres for one of these vehicles is up to £150. Gearbox, because they're a performance car, you check that the synchro, you've got no noises from the gearbox. Second and third can sometimes need a synchro change. All of these are not terribly expensive, but for a gearbox strip is at circa £400. So you just need to drive the vehicle and perhaps have somebody with a degree of expertise to check it with you. I think what is important that if you are looking out to buy a used Evolution, as I said, you look at the bodywork, but you need a good service history. All the oils need to be changed every 7,500, and the anti-yaw and the diff oils every 4,500. If this hasn't been done, then you can run into diff problems. So that does need checking before you purchase.
So what about the important issue of depreciation?
These are not high numbers, they're not in the Glasses guide, so depreciation tends to be very good. If you look at the price between a brand new Evo 7, for example, at 27,500, there are Evo 6s that are 12 months old that are still selling for around about £23,500 to £24,000. And in today's economy and climate in the motor trade, that's very good value.
But perhaps its strongest competition comes from a fellow Japanese manufacturer. The Subaru Impreza has been around for a number of years now and has a strong following amongst those that want rally car performance in a usable road car. But what model should we go for?
I think practically the version 3s were from version 3 upwards are the ones to go for, and they're around about the £12,000 for a good version 3. You can get the limited edition version 3s like the 555s, and they're around about the £15,000. They're all the light-bodied Japanese imported versions, which are 276 brake horse.
What areas of the car should we check when buying?
Again, like we said with the Evolutions, it's the bodywork. There's not been major accidents. Check when you're looking at the service history, and if it's due for a major service, which is the belts, they can be expensive. You can look at £400 service bill. You certainly don't want to buy that and then have to spend that amount of money. You need to check that the diffs, particularly on some of the STI versions, which have got the diff lock, drive the car. Some of them can be faulted, but you can hear the bearing noises. Check the gears and synchros. With Imprezas, yes, you can do the modifications that you can with the Evolution. You can't get the brake horsepower really over 320 brake without going into the internals of the engine. So it's perhaps prudent not to buy anything that's gone beyond the induction and an exhaust system. When it comes to the suspension side, then fine, it's just exactly the same.
What are the differences between the STI and a UK spec car?
The difference between the STI and the UK car is that they're light-bodied. The standard UK vehicle, which you can get as a Subaru 2-litre turbo, develops 215 brake horsepower. These are the 276, so there's considerable difference with 17-inch alloys instead of 16-inch alloys. As I said, the Brembo's interior trim, it's got the Alcantara trim and 6-speed gearbox. A lot of technicals. On the technical side, there's a huge difference, although on the face of it, it's not that noticeable.
So would Simon pick the Mitsubishi or the Subaru?
It's difficult to have a preference because they're both very good high-performance vehicles that can cater for a family. The Evo is only 4-door, whereas the Subarus you can get 2 and 4-door. But with the performance being the same and handling being exceptional on all the vehicles and price similar, it's really down to personal taste. I think perhaps the Evolution looks a little bit more aggressive than the Subaru. So it's just all down to lifestyles and where you're taking the vehicle. It's a difficult choice. I wouldn't want to have to make the choice.
It's easy to see why these cars have such a loyal following amongst car enthusiasts. With blistering performance and aggressive looks, these Japanese supercars are more than a match for more established marques, but for a fraction of the price.
Usually the name Renault doesn't conjure up images of long blasts down country lanes in a sports car. That is, of course, if you're not in the Clio V6. Unlike all other Clios, the V6 is rear-wheel drive and the engine is mid-mounted. The new position means that the Clio's already impressive handling is even better. On the outside, the Clio V6 couldn't be any more different from the standard model. With a huge oversized body kit and low-profile tyres, the V6 easily stands out from the crowd. There isn't even a back seat, and its place is the car's V6 engine. The car's engine pumps out 230 brake horsepower with 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds and a top whack of 150 miles per hour. If you're interested in the Clio V6, you're going to have to stump up around £26,000, but remember, you are getting a limited edition V6 sports car.
Well, that's just about it for tonight's show, but join us next week when Brendan Coogan will be testing Honda's latest Type R Accord. And Richard Hammond will be giving advice, if you have the money of course, on how to buy your very own Ferrari.